Ever feel like there's this untapped potential inside you? Like you're capable of so much more?
Mm-hmm.
Well, today we're taking a deep dive into Adam Grant's hidden potential
Okay.
to explore exactly that and figure out some ways we can all unlock our hidden potential.
Sounds good.
We're looking at research, real-world examples,
Right.
and even sea sponges.
Sea sponges.
Yes, really, to understand how anyone can achieve mastery.
Interesting.
You know, one thing that really struck me about Grant's book is he challenges this idea that talent is the most important thing for success.
Yeah, he really flips the script on that, doesn't
He
he?
does. It's kind of comforting, actually.
How so?
Well, it means maybe we're not all just stuck with whatever natural abilities we're born with.
I see what you mean.
So what does Grant propose instead? If it's not all about talent, then what is it about?
He says it's about character.
Character.
And no, I don't mean like fictional characters.
Okay.
We're talking about the ability to prioritize your long-term goals over your immediate instincts, especially when things get tough, when you're under pressure.
So it's about having grit, determination.
Exactly.
But how do we know that character actually leads to success in the long run?
Well, Grant talks about this fascinating long-term study that was done in Tennessee.
Okay.
They followed thousands of kids,
Wow.
starting in kindergarten all the way through third grade.
Okay.
And decades later, they followed up with these people
Wow, that's a long study.
to see what factors predicted their success as adults. And the results were pretty surprising.
I bet it wasn't just about who had the highest IQ in kindergarten.
You got it. It turns out the kids who really thrived as adults weren't necessarily the ones with the highest initial cognitive skills.
So what was it then?
It was the kids whose teachers had really focused on developing specific character traits.
Like what kinds of traits?
Things like proactivity, determination, discipline.
That makes sense.
Right.
But it also raises a question for me. Can you actually learn those traits?
Mm-hmm.
Or are they just something you're born with?
That's where it gets really interesting.
Okay.
Grant argues that these character traits are like muscles.
Like muscles.
Yeah, the more you exercise them, the stronger they become.
Okay.
He even suggests that making mistakes is a crucial part of this process.
Making mistakes.
Yeah.
Isn't that what we're always trying to avoid?
It seems counterintuitive, right?
Yeah.
But think about it. If you're so afraid of messing up, you'll never try anything new.
That's true.
You'll be stuck playing it safe, and you'll never really push your limits.
So it's about embracing the learning process, even if it means stumbling along the way.
Exactly. Grant uses the analogy of learning a new language.
Okay.
If you're terrified of making grammatical errors or mispronouncing words, you'll never actually speak the language.
Right.
You'll just be stuck studying and waiting for this perfect moment that never comes.
I've totally been there with language learning. I'm so much more fluent in the languages where I just jumped in and started speaking, even if I sounded ridiculous at first.
Exactly. It's about shifting your perspective and seeing mistakes as valuable feedback, not as failures.
Right.
Each mistake is a chance to learn, adjust, and improve.
I see how this connects to character development then. You're building that resilience and determination by working through those inevitable mistakes.
Right.
But is there a specific strategy or approach we can use for this kind of learning?
Grant uses this really compelling analogy. He compares us to sea sponges.
Sea sponges.
Yeah.
Now things are getting interesting.
Think about what a sea sponge does.
Okay.
It absorbs what it needs from its surroundings, it filters out what's not useful,
Right.
and then it adapts to the changing environment. Grant says we can learn a lot from this simple organism.
Okay, I'm intrigued. How does the sea sponge analogy translate into practical steps for us?
He highlights the incredible story of Melody Hobson, who overcame a lot of adversity in her childhood to achieve amazing success.
Wow.
And one of the keys to Hobson's journey is that she really embodies these sponge-like qualities.
Okay, so how can we be more like Melody Hobson, the ultimate human sea sponge?
Well, first, there's the absorb phase.
Okay.
Be a voracious learner, always seeking out knowledge from different sources.
Books, articles, podcasts, conversations.
Exactly. Anything that expands your understanding.
So it's about being curious and open to new information.
Absolutely. And then there's the filter stage.
Oh,
Once you've absorbed all this information, you have to be selective about which opportunities you pursue.
I see.
You have to focus on the ones that genuinely align with your goals and values.
It's about being strategic,
Yes.
not just saying yes to everything,
Right.
but really considering what will move you closer to your aspiration.
Exactly. And finally, there's the adapt phase.
Okay.
This is all about being willing to adjust your behavior and approach based on feedback and changing circumstances.
So being flexible and not getting stuck in a rigid mindset.
Right. If something's not working, you try a different approach.
Exactly. It's about embracing that growth mindset we talked about earlier.
Right.
Being open to learning, even if it means admitting you were wrong or taking a detour.
Exactly.
You know, this sea sponge analogy is really resonating with me.
Good.
It feels like a really practical framework for approaching learning and growth.
I agree.
But now I'm curious, what happens when we get stuck? What about that dreaded feeling of hitting a plateau where progress seems to stall?
That's a great question, and it's something we all experience at some point. Well, one of the first things he recommends is seeking out new information.
Okay.
It's about expanding your knowledge base and looking for fresh perspectives.
So like taking a course, reading a book by an expert in the field, or maybe even finding a mentor.
Exactly. Think of an artist who's been struggling with their technique.
Maybe they reach out to a more experienced artist for advice, or they attend a workshop to learn new skills.
I see.
It's about actively seeking out the knowledge and guidance that can help you break through that plateau.
I like that analogy a lot. It makes it so clear sometimes we just need to step outside our usual routine
Right.
and look for inspiration and instruction from others.
And you know, it gets even more interesting.
Right.
Grant actually suggests having multiple mentors.
Multiple mentors. Why not just find one really great mentor and stick with them?
Because different people have different strengths, different areas of expertise.
That's true.
So by having a diverse group of mentors, you're exposed to a wider range of perspectives and insights. It's like having a team of advisors in your corner, each offering their unique guidance.
It's like building your own personal board of directors. But how do we make sure we're not just blindly following their advice?
That's where that sea sponge analogy comes back into play.
Right.
Remember, it's not just about absorbing information. It's also about filtering and adapting.
You got it. You need to critically evaluate the advice you receive and decide what resonates with you, what aligns with your goals,
Okay.
and what you can actually implement.
So it's about taking ownership of your own growth.
Exactly.
You're not just copying what others have done, but you're using their guidance to create your own unique path.
Precisely. There's no one-size-fits-all recipe for success.
Yeah.
It's about being a curious explorer, trying different things, and figuring out what works best for you.
You know, this conversation is making me think about the areas in my own life where I feel stuck.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm realizing that I tend to get really caught up in perfectionism,
I hear that.
especially when it comes to creative projects.
That's a common struggle.
Yeah.
And ironically, as we talked about earlier, perfectionism can actually be paralyzing.
It's so true.
It can keep us from taking action and making progress.
I often find myself procrastinating or avoiding projects altogether because I'm afraid of not getting it perfect. But thinking back to that Tennessee study, it's not about being perfect.
Right.
It's about developing those character traits like persistence and determination.
Exactly. So how can you reframe your approach? How can you shift your focus from perfection to progress?
Well, maybe I could try setting smaller, more achievable goals.
Okay.
Instead of aiming for this finished masterpiece right away, I could break the project down into smaller steps.
Okay.
Maybe focus on completing one section each day, or even just spending 30 minutes working on it without judging the outcome.
That's a great start. And remember to celebrate those small wins along the way.
Oh yeah, celebrating small wins. That's something I definitely need to work on.
It's easy to get so fixated on the big picture that we forget to acknowledge the progress we're making.
It is.
But those small victories are crucial.
Okay.
They help build momentum and reinforce this idea that growth is an ongoing journey, not a destination.
You know, another concept that's really resonating with me is deliberate play.
Oh.
I tend to approach learning very seriously, which can make it feel like a chore sometimes.
Yeah, I could see how that would happen. But remember Evelyn Lenny, that percussionist who approaches music with such joy and playfulness?
Yes. It's about finding that sweet spot between structured practice and free exploration. So maybe I could experiment with different learning methods or find ways to incorporate more fun and creativity into the process.
I love that. What if you try using some of those improv techniques we talked about earlier?
Ooh, that's a good idea.
It could be a fun way to shake things up and approach learning from a new angle.
That's the spirit.
Remember, learning should be an adventure, not a burden.
Yeah. And sometimes the most unexpected detours lead to the most amazing discoveries. It reminds me of something Grant said in Hidden Potential. The people who make a difference never stop questioning, never stop exploring, and never stop learning.
That's such a powerful quote. It really captures the essence of what we've been talking about today.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground.
We have.
We talked about the power of character, the importance of embracing mistakes,
Mm-hmm.
the sea sponge analogy for learning,
Yes.
the perils of perfectionism, the joy of deliberate play, and the importance of reframing stagnation.
It's been a fascinating journey, but ultimately it all comes down to this. Your potential isn't fixed. It's something you can cultivate, nurture, and expand throughout your life.
And you don't have to do it alone.
Right.
Seek out mentors, build a supportive network, and always be open to learning and growing.
It really is a continuous process, unlocking that hidden potential.
And that's such an empowering message, isn't it, for everyone listening?
Absolutely. It means that no matter where you are in life, no matter what challenges you've faced, there's always that possibility for growth.
For discovery, too.
Exactly.
It's about embracing those challenges, learning from our mistakes, and really finding joy in that process.
Mm-hmm.
The process of becoming the best versions of ourselves.
And it's not just about the destination either.
Right.
The journey itself is just as important. It's the connections we make, the lessons we learn, and all those experiences that shape us along the way.
As we wrap up our deep dive into hidden potential, I want to leave you with a question.
Okay.
What's one area where you feel stuck or hesitant to try new things? Maybe there's a creative pursuit you've always wanted to explore,
Right.
but that fear of failure is holding you back.
It happens.
Or maybe it's a professional goal that seems really daunting,
Yeah,
and you're not even sure where to begin.
I see.
If you think back to that sea sponge analogy,
Okay.
how can you absorb new information, filter what's relevant, and adapt your approach
Right.
to really move forward in this area?
Good question.
And remember, embracing mistakes is a crucial part of the learning process.
Absolutely. And don't forget about the power of deliberate play.
Yes.
I've approached this challenge with a sense of curiosity, experiment, find ways to make the process enjoyable.
What small steps can you take today to unlock your potential in this area?
Maybe it's signing up for that online course
Oh, yeah.
you've been thinking about taking,
Mhm.
or reaching out to a mentor for guidance.
Or maybe just committing to dedicating 30 minutes each day
Yeah.
to exploring this new path.
Whatever it is, take that first step.
Exactly.
You've got hidden potential just waiting to be unleashed.
So go out there, embrace the challenge, and unlock your hidden potential. Until next time, keep diving deep,